to sort of culminate these 3 weeks with today's keynote speaker. So, read from the Bible. Derian Kavita Dandrad, originally from Trinidad and Tobago, made her way to New York City at the age of 13. Shortly thereafter, she discovered Bard High School Early College here in Manhattan, from which she was a member of the first full graduating class in 2005. She entered the corporate world as an accounting administrative assistant at Axon, Beltro, and Hartwriter LLP, while simultaneously earning her BA in psychology at St. John's University in 2007. After many years at Axon, in September of 2014, Derian transitioned into a new role as senior staff accountant at Kravitz, Swain, and Moore LLP. As of June this year, Derian has accepted a new role as the AP manager of a startup law firm, Salindi & Gay, helping to shape the firm's foundation and culture from the ground up. She has also recently completed her MBA in finance from Northeastern University and will be receiving her degree this coming August. When she's not in the office, Derian can be found dabbling in photography and traveling. She enjoys discovering various cultures, healthy doses of live music, and exploring her true passions of social justice, academia, and activism. I can tell you guys, she is a fan favorite of students who have heard her speak here at BSEC before, and I'm just truly honored that we're sort of developing our own little professional friendship. So I give you Derian.
Hi everyone. I'm going to try to talk with this mic, although I'm not good at it. First, Jeffrey, thank you very much for the welcoming and warming introduction, and also to the facilitators of this program for selecting me to be part of it. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm hoping to spark a discussion this afternoon based on Sony's corporate slogan behind me, Make.Believe. To do this, I'm going to need your help, so there's going to be some interaction, and I hope to share with you as much as you share with me today. So let's get into it. Margaret Atwood, a Canadian writer, was once quoted saying, "A word after a word after a word is power." And I agree with her wholeheartedly. During these next 4 years, I encourage you and I challenge you to do as much writing as you will be faced with reading. Writing is just as important. And one of the most integral parts of BSAC is the infamous and sometimes dreaded focus-free write. Have you guys done that so far?
Yes.
Perfect. So you know exactly what to do. BSAC has taught me a lot over the 4 years that I spent here, and then much more in the years after. And one of them was the focus-free write. It's an invaluable tool, and believe it or not, I still use it today. There are times that I'm in my office and I'm stuck on something, a problem, something that I need to write, this speech, this keynote, and I rely on this tool. It's a really effective instrument, and even when the teachers don't ask you to do it, find time in the next 4 years to really, make this your own. And here are my tips. So, don't stop writing. Don't worry about what you're writing. Just write. Don't be concerned with spelling or grammar or punctuation. If you want to write one full run-on sentence, feel free. And try to stay focused. Try to stay focused on the theme that we're writing on. So for today, that's Make.Believe. But if you do get stuck, what I do is I underline sub-themes. So while you're writing, you're going to come up with ideas of your own. Underline them, highlight them, and then if you do get stuck, start writing on that secondary thought. It's just as important. Any questions on that? So let's get into it. I'm going to hit the button and you guys are going to start writing. A circle is going to start on the screen. You have 5 minutes. That's about it. Time's wrapping up. So you can finish your final sentence or two. So when I learned I was coming to give this keynote speech on Make.Believe, I wanted to get a sense of what it meant to other people, how other people interpreted it. So what I did was I shared it on my social media, and I asked former BSEC members to do a focus rewrite. Not 5 minutes, but sort of just give me their first couple thoughts. So on the screen, I have two former BSEC students, both of which I went to school here with back in 2005. So Abigail writes, Make.Believe, the intangible way that I believe in imaginary things, the outrageously impossible, the childlike faith. Make.Believe is opposed to make, parentheses, dot, close parentheses, believe. To make believe, I have to make it to believe. My adult viewpoint with it, 30 years of experience, is that if I want it, then I must grind for it. So that was what it meant for her. And another really powerful sharing was by Lana, and she wrote, to make something, to create something with intention, to bring something into this world because you believe in what you're creating, you believe in yourself, you believe in the goodness of others, you believe that we can all make something good together. So that's what it meant to us. Well, to them. Who wants to share? Because I want to hear what you guys wrote. Very interesting. We're all sort of on the same page. So I'm going to get into my interpretation now. So I guess I should say this first. One of my best and worst qualities is my ability to reason. It's sort of my natural inclination. I'm a very reasonable person. So when I first sat with the slogan, I was inclined to pull it apart. There are 3 separate pieces up here. And I think a lot of people are just reading it as make-believe. But there's a punctuation in the middle. And I'll argue that Sony put that punctuation there for a reason. So I broke it into 3 pieces, and I put the punctuation by itself. And then I didn't quite like how it looked aesthetically, because it just looked like a dot in the middle of this page. So then I changed it once more, and I wrote it like this. Make.Believe. I wanted the period to be a bit more pronounced visually, because I thought it was an important part of the slogan. And a lot of people that I was talking to kind of like skipped over it. But it was there for a reason. So we have to also interpret that portion of it. So the next thing I did was I used a top-notch source, Google, and I started defining the words. So I looked at the definition of make, and I'll just read it. It says to form something by putting parts together or combining substances, to construct, to create. And then there was a second definition that read to cause something to exist or come about or bring about. And then I just started thinking that we all want to make or create something or accomplish something, and those things will change over time as you accomplish things. And I'm sure one of your most recent accomplishments was to get into BSEC, right? Raise your hands. I hope so, because you're here. And like that's accomplished, and now I'm sure you have new set goals that you're working on. So I wanted to share some of mine, and Jeffrey mentioned some of them in my introduction. a long time ago, I don't want to admit it, but like over 10 years ago, I was in your seats at some point. It seems like yesterday. And finishing this program was my goal. Like accomplishing BSEC, getting it done, finishing the 4 years was a goal, and I did it. And then I moved on to my undergraduate degree, and I moved on to like adult things of owning a car and moving out. And you know, my goals just changed. As I got more into my professional career, I wanted to reach certain levels, get new job promotions, learn new things. Most recently, my MBA was my goal. Focused in on 2 years on that, and I'm glad it's over. So that was like, you know, our old goals. We're done. I'm done with them. And I always have new ones, so things that I want to create. I'm really interested in starting a nonprofit. For some, I really want to learn sign language. Can't really say why. I think it'll be kind of interesting. Of course, they're just professional goals that I want to meet in my life. And I just want to travel. I love traveling. Thailand's next on my list. It's been there for a long time. So I wanted you guys to share some goals with me. Some things that you want to make or create. Things that you want to accomplish. Who's going to go? Derian. That changed. Your goals change. Embrace that. Embrace change. Don't think because you want to do something today, that's what you're going to do. It may be, but it may not be. My explanation of how I got into accounting is an entirely different keynote, but it changed. Sorry, let me get back on track. So we've discussed the first word. I'm going to skip over the dot and we move on to the second word, believe. I also defined that, and I was able to find these two definitions. The first one reads, accept something as true, to feel sure of the truth of, and the second one reads, to hold something as an opinion, to think or suppose. So then I was inclined to think, well, how do we get from wanting to create something to actually believing in it, or believing that we did it, or we can do it? What happens in between? Like, there has to be a series of things, factors, plans, characteristics, to be able to make all of these things we want to make believable. So again, I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think are these question marks? Like, what do you think you need to finish bar, to become a psychiatrist, to open a hospital, right? So purpose, determination, self-discipline. I agree with all of them. I have hard work. I think that if you want to create anything, it could be like tonight's dinner. You just have to, like, it's hard work. Like, you just have to put in some sort of work into it. Determination, perseverance, ambition. So I'm going to argue that all of those things that we just discussed is what this dot is. This dot that a lot of people were like kind of looking over. I want to say that that's all of those things in this one punctuation. It represents hard work, a well thought out plan, determination, perseverance. All of those things take you from wanting to create something to actually accomplishing it. So I agree with everyone here. I think that dot can be interpreted in so many ways, and you guys are scholars in this room, and you've already gotten so far, so I know you know what hard work and perseverance is. You've already done all the things that are in that dot to get where you are today. I'm going to share with you 3 things that I think are very significant that you should include in your dot, if you haven't already. And the first element is confidence. A lack of confidence is the biggest roadblock you can give yourself. You have to believe that you're valuable. And I will say that 100 times over. Everyone in this room is valuable. Y'all are all scholars. Your opinions, your ideas, whatever it is that you have to share in this world, in a classroom, just between you and me, and you and a friend, it's valuable. It's worth saying. It's worth sharing. Believe in your value. You have to know that it exists. If you don't, you're going to put a roadblock up, and you're going to stop yourself before you even start. So not only part of confidence, I think, is knowing your weakness. We're not perfect. And I think it's important that people strive not to be. A couple minutes ago, I told you one of my worst characteristics is my ability to reason. It's my go-to, and sometimes I'm so caught up in looking at the specifics, I miss the bigger picture. And it's not something I try to change, but it's something that I'm aware of. If you're aware of your flaws, it will help your confidence. Don't try to be perfect, but be aware of what you can improve or what your personality is just naturally drawn to. Does that make sense? Okay. So the next one that I have is finding your voice. And this is something I think that BSAC taught me. Articulation is crucial. It's one of the most important parts of success. Having innovative ideas and having things you want to make and create is important, and it's great. But unless you can articulate those things and articulate a plan and communicate what you're trying to do, it's null and void. You're never going to get to that believe end stage. So my advice to you in the next 4 years is to work on finding your voice. And that may be like me, just being the loudest person in the room and never shutting up, or it could be the person that's constantly writing, or you find it through art or photography, which I do sometimes. Really find your way of communicating effectively. You want other people to understand you. And I spend a lot of time at BSAC talking in our classrooms. Right upstairs, debating my classmates endlessly. I encourage you to do that. I know it's still happening upstairs, so when those open platforms start, talk. It will build your confidence. It will build your ability to stand in front of a boardroom and articulate a plan for a company. My mom always asks me, like, how do I do it? How do I stand in front of 120 people and say, here's what I think? And I bring it always back to BSAC. BSAC gave me that voice. It helped with my articulation and helped me with my writing. So it's an important skill that I think you should work on over the next 4 years. And the last one I wanted to share with you guys is resources. And I mean a lot of things when I say resources. Maybe there's a better word out there, and I apologize for not having it. But by resources, I mean a really strong network, for one. Surround yourself with fellow scholars, hang on to them, know what your flaws are, and know who can help you balance those out. Rely on your friends. Don't keep your innovative ideas to yourself. There's power in numbers. When I wanted to start my nonprofit a couple months ago, I dreamt it up one late night. I don't know. I was having a crazy night, and the first thing I did that morning was I reached out to my resources. I called up a couple of my friends, and I said, "Here's my ideas. Tell me if I'm crazy." And they were honest, and there's power in that. And also by resources, I mean references and doing your research. So a lot of people limit themselves and they don't reach out and find knowledge. I know it's a cliche saying that knowledge is power, but I really believe in that. So a lot of people would look into schools and they're going to ask, like, well, what do you think about a school? Call up a former alumni. You know, you can call a school and say, can I speak to a current student? A lot of people don't think to do things like that. They just read what's online. So, you know, really reach out to primary sources. Don't get stuck on just what's written online. Be creative in your sources. So that's it for the 3 things that I have. I think that that's what makes up the dot. All of the things we talked about, and then these 3 things: confidence, finding your voice, resources, and a strong network. But if it's anything that you walk away from today, the only message that I really want to sort of let you guys know is enjoy the journey. There's many steps between making something and then believing in it, and that journey is just so important. Emerson has a quote that reads, "Life is a journey, not a destination." And a lot of times, as ambitious people, we get stuck on this end goal of finishing the 4 years, of walking across the stage, of writing a paper, of submitting that homework. We get really stuck on this end stage, and we forget the process in between. All of those, the dot, we forget the dot. And I think it's you're missing out on a lot. So take time to celebrate your little victories. Take time to appreciate the small things and even your drawbacks. Take time to really analyze them. I mean, it's important to step over them and just continue as well, but kind of figure out what went wrong and how you can fix it. And don't lose your passion. We get so stuck on that end goal that we forgot why we created it, like why we even started on this journey. And I think it's important to just constantly remind ourselves of why it is we even embarked on this journey. That's all that I have for you guys today.